Hello, this is Our Foundations. My name is Joshua, and today we are going to be doing mostly an update and an announcement. So, let's do the announcement first, because hopefully you guys will enjoy this. We are doing a t-shirt giveaway. I recently got some t-shirt designs, and they're going to have the logo on it and some symbols, and so far, feedback is fairly positive that they look kind of cool, and people like them, so that's a good thing. What you need to do is go to the website or go to the Patreon page. The Patreon page was the first place I posted it, but I also basically just copied and pasted that on the website as well. And it tells you how to enter and what to do and shows you some pictures of the top 2 designs at least. I might alter those. Those are subject to change depending on the feedback. And might even do just a very basic one with just the logo on the front or back, and that's about it. But tell me what you want. That's actually part of what you do. What you do is you either rate and review the podcast, or you use one of the resources listed on the website, read one of the books, listen to one of the other podcasts, something, use a resource, or share the podcast on social media, or retweet an episode announcement on Twitter. And that's what you need to do. Then you send me an email, tell me what you did. You tell me something you like about the podcast, something you don't like, and give me your opinion on the t-shirt design and what you would prefer. And that's it. Then you're entered, and it is free, and someone will win. So far, there are not very many entrants, and we do not have thousands upon thousands of listeners so far. So your odds are fairly good that you may win a t-shirt. It's not like a lottery. And it's not like a Walmart giveaway. You actually have a decent chance of getting a t-shirt for free. So that should be a good thing. Check it out. I will have the link in the show notes, as always, to the website and to the Patreon page. And then you can see exactly what you need to do. It's written out, and do it. It's free. Why not? The next thing is the update. So I just want to, again, go over where we've been, where we're going. I guess you already know where we've been. We're kind of caught up now to today's society and what's going on. The next 2 episodes are going to be on, first, the debt-based society that we live in today. And that one is interesting. Everything's debt-based. Individuals are overloaded with debt. Governments are overloaded with debt. Our entire monetary system is a debt-based monetary system. It's kind of ridiculous, but we'll go into detail on all that stuff and what that actually means and what the debt levels are, what governments can do and what the future may look like, what their options are, as well as what our options are as individuals. I also cover the 2008 financial crisis and compare that to now and what actually happened and what situation that's put us in. Basically all that stuff. What's going on now in our debt-based society. The episode after that on education will be what the impact of our education system, as we talked about before, what impact has that had on society, and what does that look like now? What are we missing right now? What's going on because of the education that we have all received through the public school system mainly? The final episode before our next update will be one on the open conspiracy. And this is an introduction to our next set of episodes following this. We're going to do a series basically on corruption and conspiracy in the system. What does that mean? Who is the establishment? Who has actually directed all these things we've talked about? We know the education system is screwed up. We know that it basically produces not exactly what we want for our kids or ourselves, but why and who was in charge of doing that? What about government? What about our monetary system? Why are they so screwed up, and how did they get that way? We have seen that they are screwed up, and we have seen their history, but we need to look into how that has taken place, who is in power behind the scenes. We all, I'm sure, are aware that there are very wealthy, very powerful individuals behind the scenes all over the world that do pull strings and that do have heavy influence in government. You have people like Bernie Sanders that get a lot of attention and a very large following for talking about crony capitalism. Ralph Nader got a lot of attention for this too. And it's a very obvious thing that big corporations have a lot of influence through their lobbyists and their donations. Well, speaking of donations, what about the big foundations? The Rockefeller Foundations, the Carnegies, the Ford Foundation. They all have a whole lot of influence and a whole lot of money. And let's get into that. We'll get into things like the World Bank, the IMF, the CIA, the Council on Foreign Relations, just all different kinds of things. It should be extremely interesting. I have really enjoyed looking into all this stuff. It's actually very crazy. The deeper you dig into it, the more you would think you're reading some sort of conspiracy novel or watching some blockbuster movie that just came out, but you're not. This is actually recorded history. Most of what I'll go over will come from things like quotes from presidents and other top officials and congressional reports and interviews and things of this nature, wills and testaments, and basically recorded documentation that I'm getting this information from. I am going to avoid getting into big conspiracy theories. We are not going to talk about the 9/11 truth movement. We are not going to talk about any of the other conspiracies like the moon landing or the Kennedy assassination. And some of those actually do have some very legitimate evidence and very legitimate cases. However, this is not currently a podcast on conspiracy theories. This is a podcast on government, money, and education, and those systems, how they're structured, where they came from, where they are, and where they are going. So in order to do that, we do have to get into some corruption and conspiracy because it does exist. I don't think anybody denies that. So that's what we're going to do. It should be really interesting. Like I said, we're going to do the Debt-Based Society episode, then an episode on our dumbed-down society from the education system, and then we'll do this open conspiracy episode where I introduce these types of topics, and then we'll actually dive deep into that other stuff, and it should be very interesting. So that's where we're going. We're going to do that, and then we'll get into things like what we can do as individuals because of all the stuff that's going on, and we'll get into what does the future possibly look like. Those should be real interesting as well. We'll do some case studies on things like eugenics, probably one on technocracy, and some other just interesting things. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. If you have any further feedback or opinions or requests, always feel free to email me. I will respond to you within usually a few days, and everybody will get a response. I will not ignore your emails. So please do that. I would enjoy it. I enjoy the feedback, and I benefit from the feedback, so it's very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the ratings that you have given. That is extremely helpful. For any recommendations that you've given out for the podcast, that is very helpful. And for our Patreon supporters, that is extremely helpful to actually get a little bit of financial benefit from this, where I can get paid back slightly for all the fees and all the equipment and all the different costs associated with a podcast. So again, thank you very much for all of your support. This is it for the update. Hopefully you come back and enjoy the next episode on a debt-based society. So until then, I'm out. Peace.
Thank you for listening. Bye.